name is Riley Fitzgerald, and this is my informative speech. You are driving on the highway when you hear your phone ring. You realize that the ring you just heard was notifying you that you got a text message. You were unsure as to who texted you and what they said. You begin to think about the text message you received and think that it would only take 30 seconds to grab your phone. What could happen during those 30 seconds? The next thing you know, the car in front of you is almost at a stop. Your car is having trouble slowing down because you were texting on your phone instead of paying attention to the car in front of you. Your car bumps into the car in front of you, and it causes a series of accidents in a row. This thought process is a common occurrence in the lives of many drivers in the United States. Today I will talk to you about distracted driving. I will mainly focus on how it affects youth, especially each and every day. First, I will begin by explaining what distracted driving is and why it is important to know about. Then I will continue on in explaining the laws and regulations that have been put into place to prevent distracted driving. Finally, I will conclude by providing an example of real distracted driving incident. Let's begin with discussing what distracted driving is. According to NHTSA, in 2016 alone, 3,450 people were killed. 391,000 were injured in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This statistic clearly states the prevalence and importance of distracted driving. I will first clarify what classifies as distracted driving. Distracted driving is any task that causes a driver to lose attention and is unable to safely operate a vehicle. There are three types of distracted driving: visual, manual, and cognitive. Visual is defined as taking your eyes off the road. Manual is defined as taking your hands off the steering wheel. And finally, cognitive is defined as taking your mind off of driving. A few examples of distracted driving are texting while driving, operating a cell phone while driving, looking at a navigation system, and eating while driving. According to CDC, young adults and teen drivers are most at risk for distracted driving. This reasoning is shown through much research and data. CDC shows that drivers under the age of 20 have the highest proportion of distracted-related fatal crashes. In 2015 alone, 42% of high school students who drove in past the 30 days reported sending a text or email while driving. Those who reported frequent texting while driving were also less likely to wear seatbelts, more likely to drive with someone who had been drinking, and more likely to drink and drive themselves. Now that you understand what distracted driving is and why it has become such an issue in teens' lives, I will now explain the laws and regulations that have been put in place in order to prevent distracted driving and keep the roads safe. NHTSA also states that many states have laws against texting, talking on a cell phone, and other distractions while driving. Many laws and regulations have been put into place over the years as distracted driving has continued to increase in prevalence. I'm going to tell you about a few laws and regulations currently in place. 16 states have banned the use of handheld cell phones in the car. 47 states have banned the use of texting while driving. 38 states ban all cell phone use by drivers, and 21 states prohibit cell phone use for school bus drivers. These laws stand to correct the distracted driving behaviors that have become very prevalent in society. By setting up a more structured way of driving and making clear displays of what is good and what is bad, there is hope that distracted driving will decrease. Finally, now that you understand what distracted driving is and the laws and regulations that are in place, I will provide an example of how real lives have been affected by distracted driving. There are millions of stories of distracted driving incidents, but I will tell you about one that occurs more commonly than not. A 17-year-old boy was driving around town when his cell phone slipped and fell under the pedal. He began to swerve and reached down to grab his phone. While reaching down to grab his phone, he rear-ended an SUV waiting to turn. Fortunately, he was helped by the person he rear-ended until an ambulance arrived. Even though the boy suffered a serious concussion among other complications, he was very lucky he survived. When Matt, the boy who was driving the car, commented on the accident of distracted driving, he admitted that he didn't think that it would take long to reach his phone, and he didn't think that in those seconds of reaching down that anything bad would happen. The thought process that most drivers go through in an incident like Matt's is very similar. People think it's just a second, but after the second, people realize that it's not worth the risk of their own life and other people's lives on the road. This accident goes to show that many people have the same mindset, and that one quick instance can change a person's life. In conclusion, distracted driving should be made more aware all around the world, especially in the United States. Distracted driving has cost many people their lives, and new knowledge of it today might be able to save lives in the future. We learned what distracted driving is, as well as the different types of distracted driving. We learned what ages are more likely to participate in distracted driving. We explored the laws and regulations that are in place to prevent distracted driving. Lastly, we learned of a real-life story of how people were affected by a distracted driving incident. Thank you.